prolific writer. You have your physician coach webinars. You're on social media sharing your messages and your wisdom. Let's talk about some pros and some cons of being visible on social media. Hello there, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. We have the amazing good friend, Dr. Diana Londoño, here with us today. She is a board-certified urologist. She's also the founder of Physician Coach Support. And we're going to be talking about all things social media. But before we do, Diana, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. And please, if you haven't subscribed, you're new, you got to subscribe to this channel because it's just full of just amazing conversations, people that want to talk about things in depth and just really, it's just a good community. So don't forget to subscribe.
I will pause so they can do that. Thank you so much for that invitation. It is always awkward to ask people to subscribe for
Yeah,
your own
they got to do
channels.
it. They got to do it. They got to do it. They got to put it in the middle, the top, the front, all of it.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
so since we'll be talking about social media, that is the one thing, right? Putting ourselves out there and being a little cringeworthy or seeing through the discomfort of what we think things mean. And somebody who writes very well, prolific writer, you have your physician coach webinars, you're on social media sharing your messages and your wisdom. Let's talk about some pros and some cons of being visible on social media.
Well, the pros are that if you want to help people, you got to get the message out. And there's many ways to get the message out. And social media is not the only way, but it is a good way. And it's a good way to reach a lot of people. And there's a lot of different platforms, and they all have their sort of audience, their way of doing things, the way of delivering the message. It could be more audio, visual, writing. So social media is good for that, where before you may have not been able to reach that many people. So I think that's the plus. There's also the great plus of, really having other people that are like-minded that resonate with whatever you're saying and they are attracted to your message. And then you can sort of join forces, build a community that otherwise you wouldn't have. And I have a lot of really just people that really, you know, um, really call my good friends that I've met through social media. And so it would have never happened if I didn't sort of get out there in social media. So I'm really grateful for those friendships, those connections, and just the ability to reach other people, whether it's with things that I'm doing with, physician wellness or, burnout or just taking care of ourselves, or also in like urology and teaching people outside of my, office and be able to reach people in other countries and really get rid of a lot of misinformation or things that are myths and really just try to teach people basics. So I think that's really important. One of the big pluses.
I can't believe we haven't actually met in person. I would consider you one of my best friends. And,
Oh, yeah.
to think about only been shared because of what you said, what you write resonates. So I can see that our values align and the things that are important to you and just the gifts that you give in your messaging and your advocacy are so meaningful. And I'm curious to know what aspects of the social media world has translated into opportunities in the quote unquote real world.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great point. Just we don't really know where that's gonna go, but I've been really fortunate through social media, through posting. That's how people, let's say, find me, and really have been able to write for outlets, like obviously in Doximity, Medscape. Some of them, they reach out to me to write for them. Men's Health magazine, kind of some big outlets that otherwise they wouldn't have come across, my radar at any point or shape or form. And so that's how, you can kind of translate into real things. Also opportunities to speak, to be do workshops for large organizations, or for, webinar, things like that. So those are opportunities that would never come my way. And I also think when I received the Physician Leadership Award for the LA County Medical Association, I mean, I sort of came in the radar probably through social media. I don't think there was any other sort of radar that they found me. And so, these are opportunities that otherwise they would never come sort of to fruition. And so it's just a great way to have people find you, for you to again find others as well. But they really can translate to real things and growing your business if you have one, growing your speaking gigs if you want to speak more. and just collaboration. Like I said, it's a great way to truly, find all those opportunities.
And you made a great point before I pushed the record that I wanted to share again, because the exposure can be great and also a word of caution, right? There's kind of a
Mhm.
double-edged sword there of what can happen. And when people are saying, well, I want exposure, you're somebody of high integrity. The things that you write are, consistently your values and in alignment with, how I feel you would come across in real life, right? It's not for the views, it's not
Mhm.
for this perceived outcomes, but it's something that comes from your heart and soul that you wish to share. And just some words of caution to the viewers when they're considering what to post. Can you share a little bit more about your perspective on the visibility online?
Yeah, and I'll talk about something else too, because when you mentioned the fact, like, it's sort of like what you see is what you get, and sometimes, let's say many times, I've sort of been surprised. Maybe I'm a little naive, but you sort of see other people post or write things, and then you do meet them in real life, and it's like the balloon is like, "Wah, wah,"
Mhm.
like you're like,
Mhm.
what? Like it's so much different than this sort of facade, let's call it, that you put, or this lifestyle, or where you live, or how things are, and then you really see the real life, and it's so different. And I'm like, oh, it sort of like takes my little breath away, because really what I say, what I do is really, it's not for the views. It's sort of like, in a way, what I write, it's sort of my journal, but I just do it publicly, because writing for me has been a huge part of healing. And when I started writing with KMD and other outlets, it really is just about me healing and then sharing it. And if people, it helps them, that's fantastic. But it's not because I wanted to go viral. It's not because I want all these likes. I mean, of course, the dopamine is always there when that happens, but
Mhm.
it's not really the result I'm going for. I just really want to share what's going on and process those emotions. And I like to really just share it because I'm already writing it anyway. It's not something that is difficult to write. I mean, I really write my post in about 5 minutes. I'm not like, oh, what should I write so it could go viral, or what should I write so people like it. It's just, I'm just writing it and getting it out there because that's what I dealt with today or yesterday.
Mhm.
So that's sort of how I approach it. And I think if I was hard to write, if I'm like really struggling to really push it and it's forced, like I really wouldn't do it, because I don't like to do stuff I don't want to do. I want to do stuff that I enjoy, that feels just authentic of what I want to do. Like if I'm dancing on Instagram, that's because at that point in time, I really want to do it. If I
Yeah.
haven't done it months, because I don't want to do it at that point in time, I don't feel like it. And even though that gets like tons of views, or when I don't, it doesn't bring views, it's okay. Like I'm not there again for these views. But if I really wanted views, I would continue to do all my posts dancing, because that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
But there's a time and a place, and sometimes it's just not the time or the place for me. So I think, that's one thing to talk about. And the other part is, yes, when in anything you write, first of all, I'll give you a caution. Like any comment in any group that you're in, Facebook, LinkedIn, it doesn't matter where you are, everything you write, you have to realize, it can be seen by your priest, your spiritual guide, your parents, your family, your boss, your best friend, everybody. So even though we like to just post and think, oh, it's a private group, there's nothing private about anything. It can be screenshotted, it can be saved, it'll be forwarded. And so everything you write, I just hope you know, it's okay to have an opinion, but just be mindful. And if you can't think of something kind, honestly, maybe just you don't have to post anything or comment. I
Mhm.
really like to look at posts, and then honestly, sometimes there's nothing kind I have to say back. So I would just think about it for a few days if I'm going to post. If not, I just will scroll by. So think about that. And two, yes, with exposure, comes like creepy people and people that are trolls and people that may attack you. So, it's not all roses and fantastic. I mean, there's also some of the backlash, especially in some of the topics that could be controversial or
Mhm.
heated. So you have to decide, do you want to be doing those posts that are gonna, raise sort of like people's adrenaline? Are you doing it again to get views and get reactions, make it go viral? I mean, you have to decide your why and why you're there and what is your end goal. I mean, do you just want to be viral with things that are inflammatory? Do you want to kind of fight on social media with people? I mean, why are you there? Um, and for me, it's sort of when I'm there in the morning, I mean, I kind of wake up and I do social media, but I really want to scroll and kind of give something positive to somebody, a comment that is, like nice and kind or uplifting, because we get a lot of the other stuff too. So that's what I want to do with my social media, responses.
that comes across very clear.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
think there's a good and bad. And the bad should make you not do the good because there's so much good we can do. And social media is a tool. So like just like money and just like everything else, AI, it's a tool. So what are we using these tools for? And hopefully we can use them for the good.
And I think that grounding on the why really helps when we are getting feedback, right? If you're grounded in your why and doing it with your intrinsic purpose and
Mhm.
understanding your point of view and being open to having people not agree with it. Because I found for me, one of the most protective things when it comes to people trolling is like if I posted something that I truly believe in, that I'm like, I can take it.
Yeah, because you believe in it.
Yeah.
Because you stand by it. Yeah, and for example, on YouTube, like I do some videos about basic urology things, and some of them like they've been watched, thousands of times, tens of thousands of times, and countries in Latin America especially. And there's a lot of myths about especially urological things and prostate and erectile and all this stuff. And there's many people that definitely reply things like I'm killing people, that I just want to do things for the money, that this is barbaric, and like all these like, not so kind things. And the thing is like, I understand where they're coming from, perhaps, but I also, I'm gonna get a lot of this negativity because people are afraid. There's a lot of stigma. So you have to understand also where they're coming from. And of course, I would have that reply when they're afraid, they've been hurt, they haven't been acknowledged for their masculine or other things or cultural things. So I understand it, but I'm also not gonna, engage in that. I just, kindly maybe say a reply or leave it at that. But just realize, even things that are not inflammatory, that are educational, can have a lot of backlash, especially because there's a lot of other misinformation or myths and a lot of things. So, again, when those happen, I'm just like, okay, another one, that's fine. And, I just actually like send them blessings. And I'm like, I send you good vibrations and that you heal and that you're happy. In my mind, I send it, but that's sort of what I do with anybody that attacks, let's say, in any topic that you do. Yeah, I just really say, I hope that you heal. I hope that, blessings come your way. And that you have a good day, because obviously there's something going on, like they're
Yeah.
hurting. Hurt
Mhm.
people hurt others. If you're doing well, you're never going to write something negative towards somebody else.
Yeah, and being curious, like you just captured. Be curious about what's going on to that with that person and provide compassion.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't mean you have to like stand and like get all leashed by people, of course not. But just put the distance, put boundaries, put barriers, but
Yeah.
also protect yourself. And also, for anybody, it doesn't have to be a physician. I mean, also, realize there are websites and programs you can do to sort of protect your identity, because they're your name. You can Google it, and 100 websites are going to come up with where you live, what your phone number is,
Mhm.
all your past 5 addresses. And so sometimes it can get a little bit dangerous, honestly. So go to those sites, to protect your privacy. They're not that expensive. I know Doximity has a free one as well if you're a physician. And, really get on those sites to try to take down a lot of the information, because the more visible you are, you just really never know. And information is so easily to acquire that at least you can try to like bring down what's available readily.
And I think that's part of the reasons why a lot of physicians are afraid to be visible online, right? There's this belief that it's important, you said about the misinformation, right? So having the capacity to use our voice to dispel it and to be
Mhm.
online. Like I know Dr. Kevin Poe talks a lot about the importance of us using our voice and spreading information that's evidence based and from a place of experience as a clinician. And then the caveat, right, is that visibility comes with risks. Can you kind of talk about how you weigh the risks for you?
I mean, I think it's just something that you have to realize is part of it. I mean, you can't get rid of it. And you just have to try to do as much as you can under your control. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff you can't control. And even not even in social media. I mean, even just patients in the clinic that, sometimes I've been afraid. I mean, like, let's not talk about social media or my presence there or not. It's just patients that can just find you because they're upset about something that also may have nothing to do with you or you have control over.
Mm.
So don't think it's just social media. I mean, it really is just every day, people's stressors are piling up with everything has gone on, COVID and not COVID. So people are in a difficult place, psychologically. So I think you just have to be aware of that. And again, even if you're not on social media, protect yourself and your identity, online, because people can just find you, even if you have like no social media accounts. So that's important for any physician.
Yeah, that's such a wise recommendation and advice, and I appreciate it. And thinking about the support, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit because you are the founder of Physician Coach Support. And for people that don't know, can you share a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, so physiciancosupport.com is a website, a platform you can go to. And basically, we're a group of physicians, and everybody is a certified life coach. And we are just there to help physicians in any way, shape, or form with anything that they're feeling anything about, overwhelmed, tired, they have a decision, they don't know what to do with, either family, friends, work. And they just want to, we're there to talk to them and use our coaching skills, which is different than a friend or a psychiatrist, just to give support and talk about, what's going on, to just kind of let go in a safe, confidential place, and, really just get you to a better place when you're start kind of circling down the drain with all these thoughts and stories we make up in our head. So it's just a place that if you don't know where to go, and even physicians that have really good programs, on site, even for coaching, they like to sometimes come because it's a little separate than their work, and they can
Yeah.
just talk to somebody about things that are going on. And, we've been there for 2.5 years plus, and really the feedback has been really, really wonderful from the people that have come that didn't know what to expect, of course, but they are just there to talk to a peer, and they realize like, wow, I just feel better, or wow, I realize I need a therapist.
Mm.
And then they pursue that because they had no idea, that like they had no awareness, but they realized they needed something else. And it's easy. It's via Zoom. It's free. Again, it's confidential. Everybody signs that confidentiality agreement, so it's legal that they cannot disclose anything. And it's just really there because I believe in service. I believe in hope. And definitely, when I was in burnout, you lose hope. You lose like,
Yeah.
what's the next step? Like, you don't know. You feel like there's no way out. That you don't know what you're gonna do next, and that there's no solution. And there's always a solution. So sometimes just letting all these thoughts out of your head, kind of taking them out into the air, and somebody else can listen, you just start feeling better because you're not carrying that burden. So that's why we're there. And, we have just fantastic people that really, really care. That nobody's there to sell you any coaching. People try to coach, they get removed. I've never removed anybody in this whole time because they're not there for that. We're not there to say, this is my coaching package you can do. This is just, we're using our skills that are different than, again, physician support line, which is run by psychiatrists, or other programs that are out there. And so that's why we're there, because we really care. We know burnout is real. I've been through it. I know what it is. And there's also like another side, and so sometimes you need that hand to just help you, give you like that little push to get you in the right direction.
And you have shared your burnout story in a few different places. If they want to read more about your writing on Kevin and Dee, I highly recommend your writing and your processing. But I was curious to know if you could share, what did you find was helpful as you were navigating through that?
I mean, it went from like not having any awareness, because that's what it is. I mean, you have no awareness, and it had to be sort of pointed out by my husband. But then it was about, okay, I need to make a change, and just realizing like, if you stay the same course, it's going to be the same outcome. So realizing like, truly, what are you putting your time, your attention into? What are you putting all the focus on? Because, I used to like read the news on Facebook like an hour in the morning, and it just made me more agitated, more afraid, more tense. My cortisol is running through the roof just from reading all these things on this news feed, that it was not helpful. So I like never do that anymore for like the last
Mm.
3 years probably. And I spend my time in a different way to really like down regulate that cortisol and really up regulate like the parasympathetic. So there's many ways to obviously do that, prayer or meditation or writing or dancing, or movement, and making sure you're sleeping well, making sure you're drinking water, and you're paying attention to what you're eating and drinking. I mean, it's so important. Like, are you just hyped up in, sugar, sodas, and caffeine? You're gonna feel not well. You're gonna feel jittery and like, oh, you're not gonna sleep well. So really paying and being mindful and having awareness, like what are you putting into your mouth, your body, um, and really like into your mind. And I really do think spiritual is a burnout crisis. It is, burnout was a spiritual crisis, I mean, and I've written about that as well. And really that disconnection from a greater being, whatever you want to call it, if it's universe or God or whatever it is for you, it really is important to have that connection and understanding, like, what am I here for? What is my purpose? And how can I serve others in some way? And that's really kind of how coach support came about, like really thinking about, like, do I have a greater purpose? How can I use any skill I have to help others? And again, maybe that's why I started writing. Like I started writing, people resonate, it helps them. So can I use my writing in any way to help people? Can I speak about it more and have people feel, it's okay to ask for help? So that's sort of just, I'm pretty much open book. I mean, really what you see is what you get in real life or online. I mean, it's going to be the same talk. And so I hope that people just feel the courage to say it's okay to get help.
Absolutely. I find it so interesting looking back how we stigmatize getting help. And
Mhm.
it is fascinating because we set people up to like we are humans, humans suffer, but we place them in a system and in a healthcare environment and in a world where there are so many things that go against our moral values as humans and spiritual beings. And I find that we're under discussing the impact of moral injury, right? I think that burnout often gets used. Burnout is a thing, yes. And I find that we're using it for things such as moral injury. And
Mhm.
people are developing signs of PTSD that they're saying, oh, this is burnout. And I'm like, actually, I think there may be other things going on here. And I know for me, it was hard for me to grasp and identify that as someone who came from the military, didn't go to war, but then I went to the VA and I was reading the definition of moral injury. And it was this light bulb moment. I was like, this is what many of us are experiencing
Yeah.
because we
And
have, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
and it may be a combination too. I mean, we really may have both.
Yeah.
We feel that moral injury. We also get triggered and we have traumas. I mean, we have so much trauma, our own childhood trauma, let's say, trauma of going through training, trauma of what we see of other people experience. I mean, that is super
Mhm.
traumatic. And we just think it's part of training, but we never process. And then we get triggered later. And then again, that moral injury comes in. And then burnout just, chronic stress. It just doesn't stop and it gets chronic and you get all the physical manifestations and all these things. But we can have both, or we can have one more
Yeah.
of the other. But we
Yeah.
can't also not say that doesn't exist. Like you said, it's definitely present.
Yeah. I think it's all a combination. We're setting ourselves up for needing the support. And I think just like you highlighted, it's okay to get help. Please do. And in multiple different ways, as you were acknowledging the physician coach support, the physician support line, and there's so many different talking to a trusted friend, right? Or your own spiritual counselors. So I really appreciate you not only stating it, but being an example of normalizing. I'm going to get help and I'm going to create this organization that's going to normalize other physicians also getting help.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people really regret ever taking that step to get help, and again, it could be just your spouse, it could be your physician, like, just check me for this, or what do you think is going on? And the first time it happened to me, I mean, I went to the doctor thinking maybe I have diabetes or something because I just felt so foggy and I didn't feel well and I didn't know what it was. I couldn't make decisions. And I thought, maybe it's diabetes, who knows? And, thinking this is all physical, but you're not going to find it physically. You're going to find it and how you're feeling emotionally and psychologically and spiritually. So, of course, you want to rule out any physical cause, or your thyroid or anything else. But then, like, you got to take care of all the other things that maybe you weren't addressing and putting boundaries and understanding. Like, you got to find that time, which we all have the time to really take care of ourselves and our body and our mind and really spend that time to do so. But what happens with a lot of physicians is that we don't learn boundaries, we don't learn to say no, we get overwhelmed, and then truly there is no time because we're running like crazy chickens with our head cut off, and then we get resentful, and then we get deeper, deeper, deeper into the hole. So I think coaches can definitely help teach you that skill. Of course, therapists probably can also do a great job too, but coaches are very good at that skill. And many times you may need a therapist and a coach and a friend and like the whole village to really help you in different ways. And
Mhm.
maybe you at one point is more intensive with a therapist and less of the coach. And maybe later it's like you don't need the therapist, but you need the coach because you want to get to that goal or get to that next project or whatever you want to do. So there's different times for different things. And many times it's just all at once. It's variable for everybody.
And what do you think is the next best step for anyone that's like, "Oh my gosh, my head is spinning." First of all, I did start a sauce on a path of social media and then a little bit different with the physician coach support. So thinking for anyone, we'll kind of compartmentalize recommendations here. If they're spinning on social media, I don't know what to do. What's the next best step for them?
I mean, I think sometimes it's just good to take a little pause and sort of breathe a little bit and then, kind of organize things a little bit. And instead of keeping all these thoughts and everything running in your mind, like writing it down. And it doesn't mean obviously to publish it anywhere. Just write things down or even write down your goals, your dreams. Like sometimes when we're so caught up with the cortisol and the stress, we can't get creative. And sometimes just starting to force yourself to get creative about what is your biggest dream, like your bucket list, that stops the stress cycle. It gets you curious, it gets you excited. Because when you're stressed, you're not excited or curious. That went out the
Mhm.
window. But when you start getting curious and start dreaming, it's like it's a different state of being. And then that kind of gets you like, well, maybe I can do this, or like maybe I can reach out to this person because I think they were doing something like that was similar. So you start kind of moving the wheels to get to a different place than just circling down the drain. So I think writing things down and again, maybe just dreaming, even though it sounds like, why would I dream now? Because it's really necessary. That's
Yeah.
what gets you up in the morning. That's what gets you excited. And you want to change that energy from, overwhelm and apathy and anger to like excitement and hope and really like that's going to make a shift to do so.
It's beautiful. I think I know for me, when I was extremely exhausted, just like you said, I couldn't even think of options in my head for when I was a surgical resident. I thought that I needed to finish my residency or take my own life. Like I didn't have the capacity to think more creatively about options. And that's where that hopelessness and despair can come in. So I think that pause is so important, even when it comes to evaluating where you want to go on social media. But that pause, and if you are not able to tap into that creative mind, like the best next step after the pause is to assess, well, what do you need to recover, to heal, to really give yourself that time and space? And I think the capacity to dream is like a sign that you're on your healing journey, but if they're in that kind of hopelessness and despair, I think just like you said, the next thing is pause and then evaluate what do you need in these moments so that you can truly heal.
Yeah, and the pause could be not just like breathing for 3 cycles. I'm talking like it could be a pause, like leaving your practice, your whatever it is, for like a month, a week, 2 days. I mean, even like a day of like where you just take care of you to sleep and again recover, like you said, it's so important. And people, it's okay to leave. You can always come back because the most important thing is you in your life. So everything else is figure outable, even though it doesn't seem like it. But just taking that time whatever it is, maybe 3 breaths, maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe a whole year you take off to really take care of yourself is the most important thing you can do. And it feels like overwhelming, like you can't do that. There's no way. There's only two options.
Mhm.
Grind it and get there however you can. Or, some people, you get to a point where in your life is an option. So there's so much more, but you can't see it when you're so much stressed, you're so demoralized and fatigued and exhausted. That's why you need to pause. Yeah, it's a great point.
And I'm curious, what are you dreaming about these days?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think right now, while I'm in the middle of doing kind of some projects of, I'm doing like certification for healing, for like energy healing, and I'm trying to finish that. And so I'm in the process of finishing that and doing it and getting uncomfortable through the whole process. Because again, you have to kind of stretch yourself and ask for things and ask, people to help them at a different capacity. So I'm trying to finish that. I'm also in a mastermind to basically grow physician coach support. It is also can be very uncomfortable because it's whole lot of set of different people and places and things that you have to do or ask. So I'm just kind of stretching and growing and really seeing where that goes. And then I just want to continue like learning. I want to continue learning about lifestyle medicine, functional medicine, all those other things that sort of weren't part of our curriculum. And I want to learn more about that. I want to learn deeper things about nutrition and just, different things again we weren't taught, but are exciting, are interesting. And that's again the things that sort of keep you alive and looking forward to something because it's easy to get bored or get tired or have nothing to look forward to. So, those are the things now. I always want to read a good book. So, I'm always reading something new or I see somebody recommended something. So I'm always looking forward to a good book as well. So those are the things that, bring me joy and kind of keep me going.
And for the people whose ears perked up, I know a lot of people are looking into different ways of healing and consider energy healing. Would you
Mhm.
like to share a little bit more about what you're doing and anybody, like if there are people that you would invite to connect with you, what types of people and what types of modalities are
Yeah,
you
there's
leaning
many
into?
types of energy healing. I mean, there's things like a Reiki and there's Qigong and the one that I'm learning right now is called pranic healing, and prana means like life force. Reiki, the key is the energy, and the Qigong, the chi is the energy. So they're just different names from different places or countries that sort of bring this healing modalities that are ancient. They've been going on for thousands of years. The difference pranic healing, what it is you use the energy of the world, whether it's air prana, like air energy, earth, or sun, to really, you're not producing it, you're not using your own. It's just sort of like you're a conduit, and then you use it to, heal other people in different ways, whether it's something physical, psychological, because we believe that there's energy, we're energy beings, and that sometimes things can get blocked, and before it manifests in something physical, it starts in the energy world, if you believe that. So in acupuncture, which many people may be familiar with, what you're doing with these needles is you're placing them in these energy channels called meridians. So the needles start to sort of block and allow the energy to flow easier, like just like if it's a electric wire, you're kind of changing sort of the channel so it can flow and things can work properly, or the signal can get to where it's supposed to be better. So instead of putting needles, we actually just use our hands to do so. Like we don't touch people, just use hands, and you use different colors of energy. Just like if you go get a laser, you use red lasers or green lasers or different things. And we use this in medicine a lot, but we don't think about energy healing. But if I do a laser surgery and I'm using a holmium laser, the laser is energy, has properties of how it breaks up a stone. So different colors, different settings are going to break up the stone differently. So instead of having laser, your hand can project this energy. If we think about quantum physics and things, can help us maybe prove some of these concepts that seem out of this world. But, it does help, it's sort of like you get skeptical, like, does it really work? But then you try and you follow this sort of protocol and you're like there is some improvement. So how did that happen? Of course, belief comes into it in anything we do. But in medicine, the power of belief is there. It's called placebo. And placebo could be 30 to 50% in many, many things that we do every single day, whether it's your cholesterol medication or your diabetes, it is based on placebo and how it works against placebo. So placebo does work for a lot of people. So
Mhm.
again, placebo could be part of it, but also, you are using energy that we all are swimming in to help other people. So it's a different way to look at it. But if you're interested, I mean, I can talk about it for hours as well, because I've been doing it for almost a year plus, and it's just interesting. And again, it's just a different way to use a tool. And it doesn't mean you don't have surgery or you don't take your medications. You still do all that, but it could be something complementary that could be helpful for a lot of people. So if you're interested, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about it or do any healing for you if you like it. It's remote or in person, but it's quite fun. And you actually send somebody my way as well,
I
and I think they
did.
got good
Yeah.
results with anxiety and is working with that. And so it's just something to learn about. And yes, be skeptical, but then try things out. Just like coaching or just like therapy, you maybe want to be skeptical, but you can't knock it until you try things. And then once you try it, you have like nothing to lose. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if you feel better and you're just in a better place, like again, you have nothing to lose.
And if they are interested in reaching out either for the energy healing or to learn more about physician coach support, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, and social media, I mean, yeah, you could go to my website, Diana Londoño, MD, medicaldoctor.com, and, or on any platform. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. I was gonna say TikTok. I'm not on TikTok.
Mhm.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is just Diana Londoño. So yeah, just reach out to me. I'm totally happy to just touch base about anything if it's interesting to you. But again, if you're a physician or you know a physician and they don't know where to go and they've are afraid, they don't know what to do, just maybe trying out a free confidential place led by physicians, peers that've been there, that understand it, and have tools to help you. Um, it could be a first place to just get you to that next step in whatever you're going to do. Maybe you'll get long-term coaching, perhaps. Maybe you're going to go to a therapist. Maybe you'll realize you need a break and this will give you permission to do so, or whatever you need, just share that because I think it's so important to, just sort of change our mindset about getting help and, getting out of like this overwhelm that many of us, have been in or are in.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And you've shared so many takeaways. But before we close out today, I was curious if you had any further takeaways that you want to leave with the audience.
Well, I think my message is very similar to yours, so that's probably why we vibe so much. But it really is like you matter. I just really, really hope people believe that you matter, that you get one life, and you are the most important thing. It's not narcissistic to take care of yourself. It's not narcissistic or bad or shameful to say no. It's okay to say no. No is a complete sentence. You can say no, thank you as well. But really learn those skills, really rooted from a place of love, like from self-love. Like it really has to be there that, you matter. And sometimes you may have to borrow that belief from somebody else that you matter, and that's okay. Just borrow it for a little bit until you believe it and you know it's true. But please take care of yourself. Again, you are the most important person. And, people are always going to say something about you, maybe going back to social media. Like, no matter what you do or don't do, people will have an opinion. And it could be people very close to you. It could be your own family, of course. That doesn't, exempt them. So everybody will have an opinion. So if you just base yourself on what you do on that or what you post or what you want to do in life, you're just going to be going up and down with the flow of what everybody else says or thinks about you. So just realize, be true to you. Everybody will say something about whatever you do or don't, and just stay the course knowing you're doing it because it's true to you. So I hope, people really, really think about that, believe that. And if they don't believe it yet, again, there's coaches, there's people that can help you realize like the truth in that.
Beautiful. It is a perfect message for this channel, A Life True to You. And you exemplify it very well. Like I said, a woman of integrity, of honesty, and showing up as you are and creating this beautiful space for others to do the same. So thank you so much, Diana, for being here. I appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you, Jillian. And again, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so and share it for others that may benefit. But subscribe, this is a fantastic channel and people need to know about it.
Well, thank you. And I'll, of course, share your links down below and check out Physician Coach Support. And please share your comments, your reflections, or any questions that you have in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time.